So this video is more or less for the uninitiated viewer to anime. To those who have never truly embarked on anime, really don't even know the first place to start watching anime, what makes a good anime, getting acclimated to some of the cultural differences that come with anime can be a bit jarring. There's a kind of steep learning curve when first getting into anime. Western and Eastern audiences have different tastes and values and cultures and different mechanisms of narrative, character arc, tropes, jokes, and just overall aesthetics. So for a new time viewer, I wouldn't really recommend a big, long-running shonen series. Nothing like One Piece or Naruto. It's a commitment. You really have to get married to the series to really invest yourself in it. I would say something like One Piece in particular, there's a lot of weird jokes, it's a big wacky world, and it can be pretty confusing to someone not already accustomed to anime at all, especially for a first-time viewer. Especially starting out, it's slow. It takes a while to really get its footing, to really know what it's about. And Naruto isn't much better considering its length, but I would say because it also started around a similar time that One Piece did, it also has some pretty piss poor pacing at times, and also some of the tropes and jokes and stylistic choices are so ingrained within the Japanese culture, it may be a bit difficult to understand when first viewing. Also, Naruto is a bit more digestible than One Piece, not just for the length, even though they're both ridiculously long. It's more aesthetically consistent, and I mean that in a bad way because it sticks to one visual theme through and through. In One Piece, the world is constantly changing and there's constantly new characters and different things and people and weird, it gets wild. And it's a constant, like, on rails, you're just always having to learn new things about the world. Naruto, the world is so simplistic, everybody literally wears the same clothes, down to the exact same shoes. Like, seriously, everyone in Naruto wears the same shoes. It drives me up a fucking wall. I hate this about Naruto, but that's a complaint for another day. But I mean, these stylistic choices show that watching Naruto for Western audiences, and this is why I think Naruto is more successful in the West in general, is just that it's a bit easier to understand. I mean, it's about ninjas that cry a lot, and this dude's sad about his friend, and the one guy's brother sucks or whatever. And then they all wear the same shoes, and everyone has power. Everyone has eyeball powers. I mean, it's pretty easy. It doesn't go much deeper than that. But the animation is pretty gorgeous, especially in the fight scenes, and it does have one of the better, more understandable, and consistent power systems within a shonen anime. So that is one thing that it can teach you about shonen series is power systems. See, in One Piece is all over the place with its theme styles, stories, and characters, and see, I mean this in a good way. It's kind of like this. Imagine your first time driving a car. You probably go with something small, like a Kia or a Camry or a Corolla, something like that. Just something nice and easy. Naruto is like the Toyota Corolla of anime. It's a good, easy to understand, it's reliable, it's gonna be there, and just basic, run-of-the-mill, nothing bad about it, nothing great about it, but it's gonna do what it needs you to do. Now, One Piece, it's kind of like driving a semi-16-wheeler off of a plane while it takes off of a carrier ship over a volcano. You're in for a weird fucking time here. What sounds more exciting? Driving the Toyota Corolla to and from work every day? Or driving the 16-wheeler into a volcano? I think I know what I'm gonna go with. Like, Naruto is ninjas and scrolls, and sometimes they summon a thing, or sometimes they turn into a Megazord, or whatever the fuck Sasuke does. But One Piece has, like, dinosaur pirates, cyborgs that can shoot lasers out of their mouths and shit. I mean, it gets wild, alright? I'm just letting you know, neither one is really the place to start, honestly. And now again, with shonen anime, you might think something like My Hero Academia is a good place to start, and while it does remedy a lot of the issues that old-style shonen had, such as One Piece and Naruto and Dragon Ball, with pacing issues and whatnot, a big part of what makes My Hero so great is the context of all of those prior shonen anime, because it takes so much inspiration from them and it becomes almost a celebration of what came before it. Even if you're a big fan of comic books, you could still get a great appreciation out of it. So not a bad place to start, but I would honestly say you'll probably get more enjoyment out of it if you understand series like One Piece and Naruto and Dragon Ball before watching My Hero. Something like Death Note is one of the best places to start watching anime. It's very human, it's grounded, it's a mystery thriller. It's a complicated story that isn't difficult to understand because it moves along at a steady pace and it breaks everything down, not in a condescending way, but it keeps you invested. It's honestly one of the closer series to a Western style story in the fact that it's dealing with this crime mystery thriller. It doesn't get too out of hand with the crazy hentai, jokey joke, nosebleed, crazy wild antics that a lot of anime will have, but it focuses more on the grounded characters and the actual crime thriller aspects of it. Now, to me, one of the most perfect places you can go to beginning anime is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. I honestly don't think there's many places that are as good to begin anime as this. Again, it does have a lot of the quote-unquote anime style tropes. It doesn't get too weird and out of hand and zany as something like One Piece. It's not as long and time-consuming as something like One Piece. It's also not as grounded and dark as something like Death Note. Brotherhood has everything you could ever possibly want in a story, period. It has amazing fantasy elements, it grounds itself, it gives you a power system whilst basing itself kind of in a realistic science, so it makes itself pretty digestible. All the characters are fun. It's kind of based loosely within a real world system, but also taking many elements from fantasy style series. It's all around got something that I think anyone could potentially enjoy. All of the characters are good. Everyone has an arc, everyone has a purpose. Every episode is well paced and nothing feels like it's ever wasting your time. Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood is as close as you get to a perfect anime, and I think it could really, almost at a breakneck speed, get you acclimated to anime in general. Attack on Titan is a pretty good place to start too. It's something that I've noticed that has sort of blown up in the West. It's got, high octane action. It's all over the place. It's exciting. It's thrilling. There's a lot going on. There's a really engaging mystery going on underneath everything. It's cool. And honestly, it's probably as close as you get to a sort of Game of Thrones style series that you'll get in an anime, at least to the political thriller aspect of it. But man, I don't think Attack on Titan is good in the sense that it is fucking depressing. After watching a few episodes of Attack on Titan, you feel like you need to sit in the shower in the fetal position and just tell yourself it's gonna be okay. Like, it's good. Attack on Titan is really good, but it's fucking depressing. And it's hard to watch sometimes because it's like, damn, dude, life already sucks. Like, can I not watch something where this world also sucks even worse? Like, where everyone dies all the time? Damn, dude. But either way, animation is beautiful. It's a brilliant story. It's a great political thriller. So honestly, it is a good place to start if that's what you're kind of into. Going completely to the other end of the spectrum, one of my favorite anime and cult classic, I guess you could say, is Coolies. This is at least the first season. It's only 6 episodes long. Watch it in a couple hours. Boom, bam, pow. It never stops moving. You'll never be bored watching it. There's always something happening. The style and humor of this show is so gorgeous and so well done. It is so easy, it's a breeze to get through, and it's so much fun. However, it is as anime fucking gets. If you have never seen an anime, these 6 episodes will be like a fucking acid trip to you. So I don't recommend it for the first one. If you're looking to get just a burst of what anime could potentially be within a 2-hour time frame, this is the way to condense it all into 6 episodes. If you've never watched anime before, you're in for a ride. Now, more along the modern spectrum, things like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen have made huge waves over the last couple years, especially something like Demon Slayer. These shows, again, don't take too long to get right to the point. They don't ever really feel like they're wasting your time. The animation quality is top tier. They get you accustomed to the power systems pretty quickly, and they're not too complicated to understand. The stories get moving, and the animation is beautiful. The characters are all fun and pleasant. They all have good, relatable personalities. They go through engaging arcs, and the animation is goddamn fucking beautiful. So, similar to Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, everything great about an anime is in these particular series. The only difference is, with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, is it takes place within a European setting, so the actual aesthetics of it and some of the world building aspects of it can be a little more, can ease you in a little bit more if you're not too accustomed to Japanese aesthetics and lore and mythology and all that kind of stuff, where things like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen take heavy inspiration from not only other shonen, Japanese mythology and culture as a whole. If you just want to watch something brand new and you want to keep up to date with other people, guarantee Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen are a perfect fit for you. I feel like a lot of people have a great deep appreciation for those anime because of the fact there's been so many years of other shonen style series that have kind of paved the way for these series to be so great. Now, something I don't recommend at all is any 90s anime, to be honest. A lot of the art style is pretty dated, the pacing is a lot slower. Some of the art style, honestly, is pretty downright butt ugly at times. I'm sorry, I grew up watching 90s. I grew up in the 90s, 90s anime guy, but I mean, when we really look back on it, I'm sorry, some of it isn't that great. And again, it's due to lack of budget, and especially if you're someone that trying to get into anime and you don't want to watch subs, if you don't want to have to read subtitles, I'd say after around 2010, anime dubs got a lot better. Even today, people still shit all over anime dubs and they swear by subtitles, but I'm someone that I can kind of go back and forth. I usually always prefer subtitles over anything because that's always going to be the way that it was meant to be presented. I'm sorry, but no other dialect and language can really replicate how certain characters were meant to sound when they were written in the Japanese language. It's a weird thing, but you can find other videos on it and this kind of topic. But either way, I do think most animes, at least nowadays, do a pretty damn good job at translating, and I think the actors have got it pretty good right now. For instance, like I said before, Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen actually have pretty damn good dubs, in my opinion. Do I still prefer the sub? Of course. But all the same, the dubs in those are great. You go back to the 90s, for instance, honestly, the only dub that's really gonna be top tier is something like Cowboy Bebop. And that is honestly also the only 90s anime that I would really tell you to get into first. It takes a lot of inspiration from cinema from all over the world, especially American film. The undertones take inspiration from jazz music, and it's an episodic adventure more or less about nothing. It's just characters going through their day-to-day lives wondering how they're gonna get their next meal, while there's something kind of always looming around in the background. So if you want to start with 90s anime and you want to do a dub, Cowboy Bebop is a pretty damn good place to start. And speaking of 90s and even back into the 80s, Dragon Ball Z, anything in the Dragon Ball franchise, I wouldn't recommend beginning with. People around my age, it's how we started getting into anime. It's how we developed a love for anime. It is the godfather of shonen anime, but it's definitely something to at least do your research on if you're gonna start getting into shonen anime, for instance. But at the very least, Dragon Ball Z Kai kind of condenses the story and gets rid of a lot of the bullshit filler. If you were like me and you were a kid in the 90s, Dragon Ball Z was the only place you could start with anime because it was the only thing we knew. It was the only thing we were exposed to. And after 2020, it's a great thing to look back on, and if you're interested in it and have an appreciation of anime, it's definitely something to go back and look at to see where almost everything got its inspiration from. So something as well, not just anime, but just manga in general, Berserk. If you're into games like Dark Souls and fantasy, like really gritty, edgy, fantasy style stories, I mean, it's amazing. Berserk is fantastic. It is one of the best manga I've ever read. It's pretty much a perfect manga. But it is pretty dark, it's pretty depressing. It's one of those series where you would normally think, oh man, our heroes are in trouble. I wonder how they're gonna get out of this one. They don't, it gets worse. And then when you think, okay, damn, how are they gonna solve this problem now? They don't, it gets worse. And then you're like, okay, well, alright, how are they gonna, oh, they're all dead now. So it keeps going, and I mean, it's great. The story is, I cannot describe to you how well told the story is, and just how damn good the character arcs are, but it's fucking depressing. One Punch Man's a pretty good place to start too. I kind of always call One Punch Man the Deadpool of anime. Part of the fun of Deadpool is having all of the decades of context of comic book lore and movies or whatever to appreciate what Deadpool is making fun of and also embracing simultaneously. And that's similar to what One Punch Man is to shonen anime. You can appreciate it and you can understand it, and it can be a fun romp of a time. But to fully understand what's happening and appreciating the humor of it all, it kind of requires a lot of contextual information about battle shonen anime. I try to touch mainly on big mainstream anime that have gone on for the past few decades and whatnot. I didn't want to get too into the nitty gritty of anime and whatnot. I wanted to give you the base stuff that's really gonna get you into it. I still give the starting place to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because it'll give you a taste of almost every kind of anime genre, and then from there you can kind of branch out wherever. Or I don't know, fuck it, start with One Piece. One of my best friends just did that, and I told him, I warned him, I was like, hey, listen, I love One Piece. I'm the guy. I'm the One Piece guy, right? And, you know, everyone knows that. But he was like, nope, I'm starting with One Piece. And I was like, you sure? You want to start with? I mean, it's weird. It's a lot. And I mean, he's doing it. So he kind of like proved me wrong in this whole video. So I guess fuck it, start with One Piece if you want to start. I don't care. Don't listen to me. I'm just a guy.